Hi, Lee Cooper here. We're on the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Healy, working southward towards Nome, and we'll be getting off in a couple of days. I've got Piper Bartlett-Browne here with me from St. Aquinas High School in Dover, New Hampshire, and she's been with us for the last several weeks as a PolarTREC teacher. Wondered if you could tell us a little bit about your experience, Piper.
Yeah, so I've never been on a ship for this long, so that was already immediately a really cool and unique experience. We're on the U.S. Coast Guard cutter, the Healy, which is a 420-foot Coast Guard boat, and there are several different research teams working on this ship for this cruise. So it's been really great to kind of see how all of these research teams interact and how they're all working together and sharing data to basically create this larger picture of the bearing and especially the CHUC-GC. They're all a part of the Distributed Biological Observatory, or the DBO, which is a set of areas throughout the bearing and the CHUC-GC that have been chosen for their biodiversity and biomass, which is what scientists are really looking to examine and explore and see how that biomass and biodiversity is changing over time. They have been observed and sampled for over 30 years, and we've done 5 of those DBO lines on this cruise, which has been really cool to see how all of these environments change as we've gone north from the first DBO, which is below St. Lawrence Island. And so there's physical oceanographers on here. There are people doing atmospheric work. There are folks doing harmful algal blooms or HABs, plankton tows. There are moorings happening. There's a CTD on board, a conductivity, temperature, and depth apparatus, basically, and then I'm working with Dr. Lee Cooper and Dr. Jackie Grebmeyer primarily on benthic work. So we are going and taking 2 different types of samples. We're taking Van Veen grabs, which is a 0.1 meter squared sample of mud with basically just a giant grabber, metal grabber with weights on it that go down, grab us a sample, and then we bring it up, sieve it in a 1,000 micrometer or 1 millimeter sieve, and just look to see what's there. And then they take those samples back and calculate biomass from that. We're also taking cores to basically look at how the animals in the mud respire or use oxygen. So we'll take a single core. It's a big metal tube that has a plastic insert in it, and it just goes down and basically takes a vertical sample of the mud, so that the older mud is on the bottom, newer mud is on the top, and that comes up. So when it lifts up, there's a little foot that goes underneath and traps that mud there, and it comes up, and we basically take the plastic sleeve out. So there are the research there is looking to see what the oxygen content, or how the animals in that sample of mud use oxygen, and the rate at which they use oxygen, which is really cool to see. And then there's a PhD student here, Christina Goethel, that's doing individual work. So then she's taking organisms like clams or amphipods and looking to see what the oxygen content of those individual organisms are, and what percentage that they're contributing to that overall core, which is really cool. So for me, I've really gotten to be a part of all of this different research, see how it all comes together, and how these scientists work together. Everybody's been really great about sharing, and they're really passionate about their work and wanting to teach students and the public about what they do here in the Arctic. And so from all of this experience and really getting all of these cool hands-on like lab time and outdoor experiences, I'm hoping to create some curriculum, first of all, for classrooms to be able to use. So not only my own classroom, where we'll be doing a lot more kind of Arctic climate change and curriculum in the classroom here, creating other things that other teachers can use throughout the years, and keeping in touch with Dr. Cooper and Dr. Grebmeyer, and hopefully continuing to keep up with the DBO work and creating lessons that teachers can use throughout the years with the DBO, so that students can actually follow along and see how this ecosystem changes over time.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, and you received some training ahead of time. from the PolarTREC program, but what kind of things have surprised you that you might want to pass on to future teachers who might come out on expeditions like this?
Yeah, some of the things that have really surprised me are the facilities on this ship. So the Healy was actually built to be used for science, and I knew that coming in, but I didn't realize how much that the Coast Guard really does, and the researchers really do on the ship. There's a full lab down here, which I'm sitting in now, that has a lot of different equipment and a lot of abilities that I didn't really recognize were here. So as a PolarTREC teacher, like if you want to come on the ship and do your own experiments, and there's a lot of equipment to be able to do that kind of stuff, and show kids as you go through the experience, which is really great. Some other things had definitely been how, like I had mentioned before, how everything is interconnected. I didn't really know too much about the Distributed Biological Observatory before I came here. I knew it existed, and I knew that it was kind of based on biomass and biodiversity, but I didn't know how all of those pieces fit together. And so as a teacher, I'm thinking there's chemistry here, there's physics here, there's biology here, and all of those things come together. So a lot of times when we're in classrooms, students have chemistry class and biology class and physics class, and they don't really see how those things are interconnected. And this has really been an eye-opener for me to kind of show how all of these different disciplines are interconnected in an ecosystem. So those things have really surprised me on this trip as well, and how open everyone has been. Scientists have just been great on the ship and let me kind of tinker around and ask a lot of questions, so it's been fabulous.
Okay, well, great. Thanks once again, reporting from the U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Healy, Lee Cooper and Piper Bartlett-Browne from St. Aquinas High School in Dover, New Hampshire. Okay, thanks again.